All right, Hunter, here's the last thing I have to try to sell to you today. And this one's going to be much tougher than the first one. I'll be the first to admit. But I think it's an interesting narrative that we do have to discuss. Shout out to the Vikings fans. Question here for you, Hunter, is the Vikings, can they make a playoff push this year with Sam Darnold?
Listen, I know what they did week one, but if you've watched the channel before, you know my feelings, our feelings on the New York Giants. While I think Sam Darnold can have an okay year. I do. But do I see the Vikings doing the same thing to the 49ers next week? Do I see him doing it to the Texans? Do I see him doing it to the Jets? The Lions, the Rams, the Colts, the Jags. The Titans didn't look like pushovers. I don't think necessarily this has to do with the talent on the team, but I do think that the people they play are pretty good. And I guess my thing is when you look at the defense for the Giants, they were right behind the Panthers and the Titans in terms of EPA per play on offense. Like some of the worst offense in the league so far this year. On defense, they were around in EPA per play, the 11th worst team, right? So I don't know if you can really judge what the season is going to be for the Minnesota Vikings when you're playing Daniel Jones and the New York Giants, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to sell. I don't think it is like the craziest narrative in the world, but personally, if I had to put money down on that, I'm not throwing more than 50 cents. Like this is going in like a 16 leg parlay that I hope hits and then I'm wealthy for generations. Like that's the type of bet that I'm willing to put on this.
No, and I think that that's all very fair. I think it's all very fair. And again, I still will try to sell it to you, but everything you said, I completely understand, and it's all very fair and based in reality. But, just to touch on the right what they did to the Giants week one. Here's the things that stood out to me. They do it right. They appear that they're going to have a very balanced offense all year. And that's very important when necessarily your quarterback is not a world beater, right? So week one versus the Giants, we were looking at 25 passes to 26 rushes, which resulted in 312 total yards of offense. That was 6.1 yards per play, 8 passing yards per play, which is very impressive, and then 4.3 rushing yards per play, which is also a first down every time you run the ball. 2.91 seconds average time to throw, which also is very impressive. And then 11 quarterback pressures in week one on defense with a 44% pressure rate on the Giants dropbacks. Now, again, everything we just said is the problem that it was against the Giants, and that's something we have to consider. But this is the main thing that I think that I want to bring up and then also on the inverse of what we have to though with the Giants, right? Like something that we have to give the Giants credit for that the Vikings completely shut down that I had, right? This was my thing. If you go back to predictions that I thought was going to be the complete opposite was this Vikings line looked really good against the pass rushers on the Giants. And if they can do that against all those great D lines that you just mentioned, I think my thing is this. We know Kevin O'Connell is going to bring the game plan. He's going to give his guys a chance to win every single game. If this O-line can perform up to that same standard every single week, I'm going to say that if the Vikings make the playoffs, it is going to be the last seed and they are going to scrape in by the skin of their teeth. But my thing is this, Hunter. I don't think it's necessarily impossible after what we saw week one, as long as Sam Darnold can keep playing like that same quarterback. Hand up, there were a couple turnover-worthy plays that did not result in turnovers. That has got to get cleaned up immediately. But Sam Darnold did look a hell of a lot better than I thought he was going to, and I think that a lot of people would agree with that.
I think the biggest sell or the biggest buy for the Vikings that I can give is the fact of Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell are probably one of the best coaching duos in the NFL outside of like D'Amico Ryans, Bobby Slovic, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo. And another buy, Aaron Jones looked good. To me, a low-key underrated move of the offseason was getting Aaron Jones. I mean, do you think Josh Jacobs is going to do better up in Green Bay? I think Aaron Jones was probably the better player. So I'm not I know I said I'd throw it in a 16-legger. I know. But I don't think anyone's crazy for thinking that the Vikings could sneak into the playoffs. I don't think it's completely out of the realm.
And especially in the NFC. They're fortunate. They're playing in the NFC. It is definitely possible to sneak into the NFC.
It is a tough division. That is my other issue, though.
No, it definitely is. But I think also kind of something we didn't mention is, look, if Jordan Love's out longer than we expect, that definitely gives you some wiggle room.
True.
As the Vikings. That was kind of another big thing that I wanted to say that I kind of forgot to mention, but I'm glad you kind of reminded me here to throw it in at the end. It's something to consider as well.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Buy and Sell. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Let us know in the comments a narrative you want us to buy and sell next week. We'll be back again. Enjoy football on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching.